Welcome to the Relax into Love podcast, the place for spiritual, ambitious women to awaken to divine connection within themselves and their partner and manifest their most desired relationship with joy and ease. I'm Teal Elizabeth, your host, a spiritual love and relationship coach trained in the principles of feminine energy, NLP, and deep subconscious reprogramming. And through this podcast, it is my desire to inspire you on all things dating, relationships, and self-love. Now, on to the show. What is up? Welcome back, ladies, to the Relax into Love podcast. I'm your host, Teal Elizabeth, and I want to have a whole conversation today about text messaging. And I want to start and preface this whole conversation with really talking about why this is such a challenge and why it's so important to navigate this in the correct way and how it can really mess up relationships if we don't do it the right way. And I was just thinking about that quote from Drew Barrymore in that movie, He's Just Not That Into You. I don't know if you guys have watched that movie. It's hilarious. She talks about, in this modern day of dating, it's just crazy how many different ways there are to communicate, right? It's like we can communicate through email and text message and phone call and voicemail and, BlackBerry fax and all these things. And it's just like basically 7 different ways that we can get rejected all for the same exact thing. It's exhausting. And I so agree with you. I so agree with you, Drew Barrymore. And I so feel you for each of you who are struggling with trying to understand, how do I navigate communicating with men in this modern day with all this technology, right? It's like almost this way of being so available and so accessible has actually just made it even harder to manage how to actually have a conversation and a connection with men. So I'm not going to talk about Blackberries or faxes or emails because that's kind of outdated and not really that prevalent, but text messaging is very prevalent, and Snapchats and all that kind of stuff. Like, I want to really, really dive into this world of social media and communication and talk about the biggest mistakes that we can be making in using these different technology platforms and how we really need to actually shift our mindset around this so that we can have healthy dialogue and healthy communication with men and set the tone and the precedent for what we're going to expect for the rest of our relationship. So I talk about this a lot with my clients because texting is just a very natural way to communicate, right? It's become kind of the everyday conversation way of connecting. But here's why text messaging is really not the best way to communicate. The biggest thing is it really keeps you disconnected in your energy, right? It's a feeling of trying to connect with someone, but you're doing it from screen to screen. And so with that screen, it really is like a protection. It's a hiding tool, a mechanism where you don't actually really have to show who you are or put your voice out there or let them see your face. You can just kind of hide behind a screen and just say whatever you want to say, right? And that can be for good things or for bad things. So it may feel easier to say, things that maybe you wouldn't have wanted to say and you want to be a little bit vulnerable. And it's also really easy to say spiteful things and mean, aggressive things, right? Without actually really having to deal with the consequence because you've got this protection, this wall from them actually being able to come after you with something hurtful. But here's why this is really, really challenging and really, really detrimental to relationships. Especially with negative conversations, right? If we're trying to manage drama or manage a tough conversation, we're trying to do it through a text message. One, it spikes our anxiety like crazy because we're not actually just dealing with it in the moment and ripping off the Band-Aid and getting through it. We are literally dragging it out for hours and hours and hours because you never know when that other person is going to respond back to you. Maybe they're going to take 2 hours and get back to you. Maybe they're going to hold on to that comment that you texted them for a day or a week before they get back to you. And all that time, you've put this comment out there and you have no idea how it's received. They don't know how you're trying to intend to receive it because they can't hear your voice. And then you're just on pins and needles waiting for that response, whatever it's going to be, right? Spiking your anxiety. And we do not need that. We have enough things in our life to create that intensity and that anxiety in other areas. We do not need to bring that into our relationships. So that's a big reason why having hard conversations through text messages is not the way to go. Second thing, for opening up and having really vulnerable conversations and trying to communicate that way through text message, it really kills the heart like the heart energy connection. It literally is like a wall where, like I said, they can't hear your voice. They can't sense how you're truly sharing. All they're hearing are the words. And although you can argue that, yes, it's better to say the words than not say them at all, it's not going to be delivered and it's not going to be received with the potency and the power that can come through with our own voice. And the third part is like, okay, well, maybe you're not doing the deep text messages of long, deep conversations. Maybe you're not having the big, hard, aggressive conversations through text message, but maybe you're just every day doing the daily text message, right? And especially when we're new to dating and we're meeting different guys and we're swiping on dating apps and we're just trying to get to know people, right? It can be very easy to be like, well, let me just kind of get to know him and let's just kind of text back and forth. And through this kind of communication is also dangerous. And I want to really call this out, because what this is doing is basically showing your man, or showing the man you're interested in, that you're the kind of person that will just be available to talk to them whenever they want to reach out. When in reality, if you're the kind of woman that I know you are, a powerhouse, ambitious, amazing, high value woman, let's face it, you don't have time to be waiting around to talk to men all day, right? And vice versa, it gives men the opportunity and the thinking that they can just do the bare minimum and get away with it and still get the attention. And I understand completely, like, who doesn't love a little bit of attention and that cute little dopamine hit of getting that like text from the guy that you're interested in and being like, ooh, okay, this is going somewhere, right? But at the end of the day, it's really superficial. And it's very, very easy for men and women to be texting 20, 30 guys at once, right? And having all these different types of conversations with all these different girls, and you never know what's going on, right? You could be feeling like something's really deepening into something beautiful because you talk throughout text messages all day, every day. But he could just be kind of shooting off that same text to 20 other people, right? So it's really, really important, if I haven't stressed this enough, that text messages, as I say with my clients, really should only be used for logistics of like trying to meet up somewhere and coordinating details, or simple little I'm thinking of you texts, right? Just that cute little dopamine hit of just like, hey, I'm thinking about you, I'm loving you, I'm thinking about you today. Other than that, it can really, really just cloud the connection with men. And I just want to remind you and just continue to reiterate that if you're the type of woman that is really wanting to connect and deepen into relationship, it can be very easy too with text messaging to think, oh, well, text messaging, that's not really initiating anything. That's not really leaning forward. That's not doing much. It's just kind of saying what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. But in the end of the day, it's also very much a leaning forward energy. When we are putting in all this time and attention into really wanting to connect and trying to make this relationship happen and trying to keep conversations going, it's exhausting. It's exhausting to always have something to say, always be cute and funny and witty, and then be worried if he hasn't responded back in a few hours. What is he thinking? What is he doing? Why isn't he responding? Maybe I should say something back. Maybe I should try and initiate something. It's a mess. It's a minefield. It's a mess. And I just want you to know it's just better not to do it, right? So what does that actually leave you for doing? What it really allows you to do is to take a second to just pause and lean back in your energy, in your physical sense, and in just your identity, and take a second to recognize, what is it that I really want here, right? What kind of man do I really want? Do I want a man who just wants to just kind of keep in touch all day through text messages? I mean, that it can be really nice if you have a relationship established to be able to kind of keep checking in on each other and share little things throughout the day. I don't want you to think that I'm super anti everything about connecting through text messaging, right? But it's just in the really early phases of dating and when trying to manage deep heart-to-heart conversations, it just can get really, really messy. So how do we want to connect? What is the best way in this modern day to be actually navigating these relationships and building the foundation for strong, healthy growth and deepening into the relationship? I really, really encourage taking time to literally just get on the phone, right? Either getting on the phone, at least sending a voice note, or seeing them in person. Like those are the three things that I think are probably the best things. Or video call, right? Especially with the coronavirus and not being able to see each other very often. It can be easy to fall into the trap of wanting to just text all day. But really, really, I would encourage to be setting up those video calls, setting up those phone dates, and allowing that to be the place for deepening. There is something so powerful and so beautiful with our voice when you can hear in my voice, just you can understand me more. You feel like you're next to me, right? Versus just some words on a screen that you receive. And vice versa. When you hear his voice, it creates such a deepening. It creates this connection of like, wow, I can feel you, right? Even though you're not here with me, I can feel you. And I think the reason I wanted to just share all this today is because it's such a highlight, and it's something that I find is a huge theme from women that I'm supporting, is like making sure that we are being very intentional with how we set the tone for our relationship. You are not the kind of woman that's just going to wait around all day to wait for a text from him. You're the kind of woman that is busy, that has focuses, that has goals she's working towards. And if you want to make time to see me, you got to get in line and you got to let me know ahead of time, and let's actually make an actual time to talk. Right? And that just, it raises the bar of how he sees you. It raises the bar into being that high quality, high value woman. And it asks him to step up as a man so that you're not just hanging out with all these little boys that are just wanting to get some attention from girls. You're actually asking him to step up and be a man for you, to step up and ask you out or make that time in advance for you to be able to connect with him. And when you do, you will be there, you will be fully present, you won't be distracted, and he will be the same. And that's when true intimacy can develop. Not through superficial texting. So I will get off my rant for today, but I just felt like it was important to kind of bring this up and to be reminding each of you to really be intentional with how are you setting the tone for relationships, right? What are you even subconsciously telling men are okay and that you're okay with by the way that you allow them to treat you through text messaging, right? Because when we allow men to just kind of give us the bare minimum, the, hey, how you doing? Hey, what's up? You know, hey, how's your day? Like, although it feels good and it feels like they're connecting deeply, it's really not, it's not going anywhere, right? And it can just be feeling very superficial and very disconnected. Versus saying, hey, you know what, it would feel so great to be able to hear your voice and really connect with you on the phone. Maybe we can set up a time to chat sometime, right? That tells him, I do not put up with this basic surface level texting. I'm the type of woman who will make time because quality time is important to me. And that's something that if we're going to be engaging in time together, I want you to know that upfront and ahead of time. And I want you to make time for me. And in return, I'll make time for you. So, going to leave you with that for today. I know this may be a little polarizing. I know you may be feeling a little bit irritated or maybe triggered by everything I'm sharing here. I totally get it. And it's okay. I know this is a little bit of harsh, tough love, but it's important to kind of wake up to this because it's easy to just get sucked into the normalcy of texting. And that's why I'm wanting to just kind of go, nope, let's just, pull that off the record and just take a look at it for what it really is and the effects of how texting can really be dangerous. And texting, by the way, is the same thing as Instagram DMs or Snapchats or Facebook messages or all the other ways that social media keeps us in a screen of connection back and forth. It's fake, it's disassociated, it's disconnected. It's a great way to first initiate and first see and meet somebody, but from there, it really needs to be moving into a deepening into phone calls and personal time. So, excited to be able to share that with you. Feel free to email me if there's anything that you're curious about or anything that you want me to talk more about on the show. I'm really just kind of pulling from what I'm seeing from the world and really helping us to remember to have like a North Star and a mindset to hold on to that reminds us who we are as women and what we are wanting to put up with for the future, right? We are really in a time right now where we are redefining gender roles, we're redefining femininity, and we're really redefining the kind of relationships that we want to be in as strong, powerful women. So, amen to that. I hope you're having a fabulous day today, and we'll talk soon. Thanks for tuning in to another amazing episode of the Relax into Love podcast. If you are loving what you're hearing, please, I would love for you to write me a heartfelt review. It means so much for the success of this podcast. And honestly, I love hearing what really hits home for your soul. And the feedback, really, I read every piece of it. So definitely pop me a love note and share this with a friend. Share this with someone who you know could really use this message today. And let's keep spreading the love. Until next time.